Welcome to what's our show? Democracy 2.0, heard exclusively on MalcolmPresents.com. Malcolm Presents is a streaming portal into the wonderful world of Zoomcasting. Each week there is another half-hour video on Democracy 2.0, plus other shows that are not seen at any other place in the world aside from Malcolm Presents. So if you're not watching us, you're missing a hell of a lot. This is Malcolm Berman with my co-host. Please introduce yourself, co-host.
My name is Wayne Bouchard.
Wayne Bouchard, and you don't pronounce the D because it's a French way of saying it. I started our first show. I said Wayne Bouchard, and he absolutely corrected me, snapped off my head. You don't pronounce the D.
No, that's not what happened, Malcolm.
Oh, I can make up what happened because most of the people haven't listened to that show.
Okay.
So I could claim whatever. I just call me.
Absolutely.
I can trumpet.
Absolutely. You can George Santos
it. Well, forgetting about Santos, speaking about Trump and his claim that the election was false and wasn't true indication of what happened. Tell us what happened with the Fox News reporters.
Well, apparently, Fox is being sued by Dominion, the maker of the voting machines, because Fox kept claiming that there was, widespread voter fraud, when in reality there wasn't. And they continue that that tactic today even. And apparently in the depositions, text messages and emails came out that shows that Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Maria DeBartlet, Tova, and even Rupert Murdoch, were admitting that the 2020 election was not rigged, and it was probably fair and square, but they had to defend their position with Trump. I thought one of the emails that was really telling was Rupert Murdoch, when he said, we don't want to antagonize Trump any more than we already have. Everything is at stake here. We have to defend him. So, Fox News to this day continues to spread that falsehood that the 2020 election had widespread voter fraud. And even to that point, yesterday, we learned that the Arizona Attorney General, who lost his bid for re-election in 2022, withheld information saying that the 2020 election, they were unable to find any evidence anywhere of any wrongdoing with the election in any way, shape, or form. And they even, last night they even had Kari Lake. Remember Kari Lake?
Yeah.
The candidate for governor who lost 2 days ago, still perpetuating this fallacy that the 2020 election was rigged. Maricopa County can't be trusted. Their election system is a fraud.
Yeah. Well, I have a question. I know.
Yes.
If it was regular television, over-the-air television, that's controlled by Federal Communications Commission, right?
Correct.
And they give the license to.
Correct.
So I think if a TV station perpetuated this falsehood, there would be some penalties to them. How about a cable station? Would there be any penalties to Fox?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think so. Otherwise they wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, because knowingly they perpetuated this myth, and they
Mhm.
even admitted it to it. And part of it is, aside from, part of it is also they wanted to keep their audience, aside from pissing off Trump. A lot of the
If
Fox
they pissed
audience.
off, if you know, in reality, what would happen, Malcolm, if they pissed off Trump, they would lose their audience because Trump would start bad mouthing Fox instead of being, their darling, cable news network station.
But I think a large majority, I don't know majority, but many of the audiences were angry at Fox for projecting that Biden won. I think I forget whether it was Arizona or Georgia that they declared him the victor.
Georgia.
Georgia, and they were really annoyed at Fox.
Trump was furious,
Yeah,
furious.
and so was the audience.
So along those lines, though, look at what happened yesterday. Kevin McCarthy, newly elected Speaker of the House, turned over all of the video footage from the January 6th special committee, House committee,
To Tucker Carlson.
to Tucker Carlson. And he said, well, I promised I was going to do this. And that was one of the demands of the I'm going to refer to them as the crazies in the crazy wing of the Republican Party,
Right.
Matt Gaetz and
Marjorie
Taylor Greene and so forth, was that Kevin McCarthy turn over this video footage. And to some extent, what McCarthy said is correct in that, this video footage belongs to the people. We collected this with taxpayer dollars, and, the people have a right to have it disseminated in the out to the public. And that's correct. However, there are several legal procedures going forward, including the special prosecutor, the grand jury in Georgia, and God only knows what else. So, disseminating all this footage out into the public and letting Tucker Carlson, put his spin on it is, I don't think, the wisest or the most the most politically correct thing to do. Never mind legally correct.
Well, did he give an exclusive to Tucker?
I'm not sure.
Because if he gave it out to everybody, if he gave it out to all the networks and cable stations, I don't think where the problem would be. But I think this was an exclusive, only to him.
It may be. I'll have to look that up.
Okay. Now, I was listening to MSNBC. I don't know if you listened to that today.
No, I did not listen to it today. I didn't listen to anything. I told you, I was trying to make money.
No. Make money? What is that?
Because as we both know, neither one of us make any money doing this. We do it for the love of the cause that we represent, which is
wait, time out. Time out. My partner might be doing this for the cause, for the grand cause of things. I eventually want to monetize this. So if you're out there and you like our show, and of course
you have lots of money,
and we have hundreds of thousands of people that listen to it, we are open for sponsorships.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to refuse any monetary contributions you might make because you like the show and you want to see it continue and you think our point of view is so unique that nobody else does it. Please contact me at malcolmpresents@gmail.com and we can fit your business in.
Thank you, Malcolm.
Wayne might not want to partake in any games that I make, and that's fine with him. I will, be glad to cut him in. But if he wants to do this and donate the rest of the money to a charitable cause, I'm all for it. Anyway, that's my commercial pitch. And oh, by the way, also, if you're listening, and since we are on video, I can easily make this a television show.
Yeah,
and we could put it on, one of the one of the streaming stations from 3 o'clock in the morning till 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah, wouldn't that be fantastic?
So if you're out there and you're involved in the streaming,
your
again,
time is up.
It's Malcolm Presents. Anyway, the thing was that what I wanted, I was listening to MSNBC this morning, and they had that trial, the murder trial in South Carolina.
Yep.
And it was basically, I think he was testifying.
Yes.
In the trial, and they had it on verbatim.
Oh, why?
And I want you to know why. I mean, there's so many things happening in the world. Why did they spend? I was listening to it for about a half hour, basically, to see how long they'd have it, and then there was a break, and they continued with it. I don't know why.
I can't answer that. I don't know why either. It certainly is not on my radar.
Yeah, I mean, did that have some sort of international interest or even national interest?
They're just filling up space.
Yeah, did it mean anything? But they had it. Basically, they had the mic open at the trial.
Huh.
And I didn't see why it was relevant.
Well, I don't see why it's relevant now.
Yeah. Well, if anybody's out there, please let us know what your opinion is. We'd be glad to consider it. Again, the same website, the same email.
It's just another murder trial.
Yeah, I mean, it just happened. The guy is a multimillionaire and from a famous family, and he killed his. I mean, it's a human interest story, but not where you have the live trial on a national radio station or a streaming station.
Correct.
I mean, I think there are a lot of other newsworthy stories that doesn't get its a place on the air. But anyway, that's my bitch for today.
Absolutely. Okay. So I'd like to talk about over the weekend. I was working on a written piece talking about how I felt about the Democratic Party and President Biden seeking another term as president, and the main my main point was I think it's time for the next generation of leadership, pass the baton to the next generation. And lo and behold, I wake up in the morning and find out that Joe Biden is in Ukraine visiting President Zelensky. President Biden's over there, and I was just shocked that that the American president would. First of all, I wondered how he got there. In terms of logistics, they can't just fly Air Force One, over Poland and into the Ukraine and land at Kyiv airport without a whole squadron of, fighter jets, just in case. And then of course, as the morning went on, I learned that they flew to Warsaw and then they took a train. So logistically, that was a little bit easier to follow, but still one hell of a gutsy move on his part. And the part of the whole country. First of all, when's the last time a president of the United States visited Poland? Never mind Ukraine. I'm sure it's been, I don't know when. I should look that up. I should ask Mr.
Probably a few decades.
At least,
Listen,
at least. So I
when was the last time a U.S. president visited Poland? I'm getting.
was going to tell you Joe Biden, last week, dummy.
No, it has something. I don't know what it is. It says Barack Obama, July 8th, 2016.
Really? Okay, so we can put that one. We can put that one to sleep.
I'm not sure. It's sort of like confusing. Actually, he's the 9th U.S. president to visit Poland.
Hmm.
But anyway, I aside from anything else, I think it was to show that he is still, aside from visiting Poland, I think it to show that he still can do this. It's, to do this trip. Aside from flying into Poland, I think they said it was a 10-hour railroad trip.
Yeah, correct. 10 hours
Trip into
Kyiv.
Kyiv. And then,
Yeah.
that takes a hell of a lot out of you.
Absolutely.
I mean, even a young man of my age.
Absolutely. Fly halfway across the world and then take a 10-hour train trip.
Yeah.
And then walking around in the streets when air raid sirens are going off. It certainly proved that he has the physical stamina to do these things. And I wonder, I'm going to be interested to see what the polling is after this. And I'm not sure that's obviously he didn't. That's not the reason he did it.
Well, I also saw that I think I heard that they also told the Soviet Union that he would be in.
Yes, they
Kyiv.
gave him, I think, a 2-hour heads up. Don't screw around because Joe Biden is on his way to Kyiv, and you don't want to start something that you're going to regret. Just so that they didn't, make some foolish mistake.
Well, then they could have made the mistake. Say, "Oh, we didn't realize that."
Yeah, how many movies have been made like that?
Yeah.
Whoops,
sorry.
We're at this stalemate now where the Ukraine and Russia are just slaughtering one another. We continue to give more and more weaponry to the Ukraine, and the war continues on. Now, on the plus side for this anti-war individual, we're not using American soldiers. And I think this is the way we should protect other countries. And this is the way that, their freedom should be defended using their own soldiers and as much of their, Russia is literally destroying that country.
Yeah.
It's going to be one hell of an effort to rebuild it.
Well, what I get a little confused about that whole Eastern European thing was that Eastern European, everybody is sort of like interrelated, because at one time they were like one country, and the USSR, and before that they were into little blocks. But I don't know how long they were one country.
I think that's true of the entire world. Europe and Asia. Malcolm, the U.S. is different because the only people that were populating this continent were Native Americans, and there were too damn few of them, and they weren't organized into governmental bodies.
Well, they were, but it was called tribes.
Yeah, but that's
because
1,000 years past where the Europeans were, for example.
Yeah, but I know that I've done one of my shows I do is called Malcolm and We, which is about a group, We the World, who supports groups trying to improve the world. Mm-hmm. And I've done several shows now with people from Africa. Mm-hmm. All these countries in Africa were not really countries. They were organized by the colonial powers,
Yeah,
for ruling. They were based on tribes.
yeah, the U.S., the Brits, and the French
The French,
and
Portuguese. It was
Dutch.
Yeah, they divided them up, and in order to control them, they said, "Okay, now you're a country," but they were never countries; they're different peoples.
Right, right.
But I think I told you. I know. I know my relatives or my grandparents came from Europe, Eastern Europe. So I wanted to know basically what kind. I'm not sure whether I'm Russian, whether I always thought I was Russian or Ukrainian or Lithuanian. I know I'm a Litvak, which is called, and I'm not sure why I'm a Litvak either. But so I spit into about a year and a half ago. I spit into a jar. I sent it to
Right.
Ancestry.com. I got it back, and it says you're 100% Eastern European Jewish. Big deal. I knew that. What
Yeah,
country?
yeah, but you didn't pay him. You didn't pay him for the high price analysis.
Right. Actually, my son bought me another one, which I still have on my desk, and supposedly it's more refined.
Yes,
So
you
it might
got.
tell me
I
which
think that
region in Eastern Europe I'm from.
I think the $20 one, the cheap entry level one, doesn't tell you much of anything.
Oh. Because I think I listened to Fiddler on the Roof, and I just found out recently that was in Ukraine, Kiev, which it was written in. And I know my grandparents came here about 1906, 1907, which was about that time of Fiddler on the Roof.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So I think I might come from Anatevka. My great grandfather might be Tavia,
Yeah, there you go.
but I don't know whether I know you're not Jewish, but I don't know whether you relate at all to that movie or
No,
the play.
no.
Have you
And
seen it?
and in the just so that you know, and it's not that movie or that play, it's that those are the kind of things that I cannot seem
You're
to or do not seem to retain in my memory bank.
oh.
Um, being a technical person, I retain all that kind of stuff. But my wife and I will watch a movie, and a year later I'll say, hey, I really want to see this movie, and she'll say, well, we already saw it.
So,
I swear that we didn't see it.
well, aside from the music, which I love, uh, the story had an international ring to it. I mean, it was Shalom Aleichem wrote it, and it's a story about a Jewish family that had to leave Russia because they were having the Tsar kick them out. But
Russia, Ukraine,
and Russia, I think it was Russia. I don't know what part could have been Ukraine, but it was part of Russia at the time. But the story actually is about change. It's about this father, Tavia, who had 5 kids, but he had like 3 daughters.
mm-hmm.
And of course, it starts out with tradition. Everything is based on tradition. What was is, and that's you don't question it. So, but the older daughter, they made a marriage for her with the butcher. She didn't like her. She was in love with Muttel, the tailor.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, no, I'm not going to marry the butcher. I want to marry the tailor. And he said, you can't. I'm the father. Tradition. You have to do it. And then he said, look at her face. She is so much in love with him that he decides, okay, she'll marry who she wants. The second daughter says she wants to marry this guy who is a scholar. Again, the father goes, you can't, because the father makes a marriage, and she looks at him and he says, but I love him, Daddy. She said, you love him? What's love? People didn't marry for love then. It was arranged. It was arranged by it was Yenta, the matchmaker.
Mm-hmm.
But he said, but she looks so wonderful. I'm going to let her marry him. The third one does the unforgivable sin. She wants to marry a Russian, not a Jewish boy. And the father sings the whole thing, tradition. He said, but how much can a tree bend? before it snaps. Meaning he only can go so far. At the end, he forgives her. But the whole story is generations, how they change. And this hit in every country. It was a big hit in Japan because it's the same thing. They believed in tradition.
The story's the same no matter where you go,
right?
And no matter what religion you're in, because you're talking about change. Change is a very disruptive cycle.
Change from one generation to the other generation.
Right. You know, my family, not to continue this kind of discussion, but my family came from France to North America in the 1600s, and they settled in an area. It stayed there for generations and generations and generations, and they all went to the same church, and they all got married there, and they all married other Catholics. And then my father's family, they all left. They all said, we don't want to stay here. You know, we don't want to be potato farmers. You know, we're going to leave Frenchville and wander off into the rest of the world. And our family scattered all over the country today. And we no longer have family outings, and, you know, uncles and aunts don't come to the holiday dinners. You know, that's just a part of life that has disappeared off the face of the earth.
Right. Well, when I was a kid, all of my family was in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And during the Jewish holidays, you know, when my grandfather was still alive, we all had dinner.
Yeah.
And actually each week I went to visit my aunt and my grandfather. Now I'm the only one in Southern California, but my whole family almost moved as a block. They live in Florida. I call up, I think the main city is like Delray. I call up Delray. I can touch base with, 90% of my family, which is funny.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the world isn't the same way anymore. It's,
no.
Well, everybody, first of all, is connected with Zoom. I do Zoom meetings with everybody.
Correct.
And as you know, I do the Zoom shows.
Mm-hmm.
But again, going back to, where did we get Fiddler on the Roof?
Where?
Now, how come I started talking about it?
I have no idea, but you know, you went down that rabbit hole, and we're still running.
Right. But that's life. But anyway,
I think we're out of time.
No, we still have 3 minutes to do some sort of vital information that our audience must hear. Actually, they mustn't hear anything. They heard all the news already. They're listening to either Fox or MSNBC or CNN or CBS.
Well, I think that one of the things, and I almost hate to end with this, but you know, this train wreck in Ohio is still a disaster, as is the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Still,
well, Turkey and Syria again. It's a lot of it is the mismanagement of the government and the industry there to build proper homes that would be earthquake proof. And the last I heard, I think it was like 44,000 people were killed.
And you think that America's any different?
I think it's a lot different.
Well, you think contractors don't skimp and
yeah, but I don't think it as greatly as they did in Syria or Turkey.
So we'd only have 20,000 people that would die.
Right.
Ah, okay.
But yeah. Did we talk about the Chinese that are now talking to Putin, and we don't know why?
And when we don't know whether or not, is this just a ploy to, I think historically, if you want to talk about history, the Chinese and the Russians have really never gotten along.
Right.
And I think that, there's one school of thought that says one thing they have in common is China and Russia do not want the West being the dominant political player in the world. And
Right.
what they mean is the US.
And you can throw in Iran
Yeah, none of those countries do.
and probably North Korea.
Right. But can the Chinese economy exist in a world where they're not on an equal playing field with the European Union and the United States?
That's what we'll find out.
Yeah, and I don't think they can.
Well, the Chinese economy is almost like a capitalistic society with a
It's
little
a
bit more
hybrid.
controls.
It's a hybrid.
Yeah.
It's a hybrid between capitalism and socialism. And, let's be honest about it. So is the U.S.
Yeah, we're between socialism and capitalism.
We lean more towards capitalism, and China leans more towards socialism. And probably in 10 years, we'll find out that, it'll come together like that.
But ultimately, we're a democracy, which they're not.
Correct. And, who knows? Maybe they will become a democracy.
Anyway, now it's time to go.
Now we are out of time.
And then we're we have, let's see, 2 seconds left. You hear that? There it is, the bell.
See ya.
Anyway, as they say, peace be with you, my son.
Peace be with you.
And you're listening to Democracy 2.0 with Wayne Bouchard and myself, Malcolm Berman. And you're heard exclusively on MalcolmPresents.com. Just go to Malcolm Presents. You'll see a whole list of my shows. Scroll down to Democracy 2.0, and we're all dated, so you can hear all the old shows. Why you want to, I don't know, but a lot of the things we talk about is not really news, but human interest. So anyway,
and why do they have to scroll down? Why isn't our show at the top?
It's not at the top. Sorry.
Popular.
Well, actually, if it becomes more popular, it might rise to the top as the cream rises to the top. But
okay,
but just as a business-wise, I want them to see all the shows.
Okay.
Because collectively, our audience will win over advertisers. Anyway, have a great week. I'll speak to you next week.
Take care.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.